So hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. We got Rudy in the house. Rudy, what's up, man?
What up, man? Happy Sunday. Really excited and happy to be on the show with you today. Thank you for having me, as always.
Absolutely, man. I'm seeing a lot of people are excited. People wanna join. 1 second, I have to close my YouTube here. It seems like it's running in the background. All right, I think we're back here. I'm just
Okay, cool.
testing that we're actually live, and yes, indeed, we're live. So Rudy, man, we're here today, and we're gonna be talking about LegendX, the new
Let's do it.
token which you're gonna swap. And by the way, when launch? It's tomorrow already? Is that correct?
Yep, tomorrow. So just to be really clear, there's a 2 hour launch window. So that's from 3 p.m. UTC to 5 p.m. UTC. And that's when the token, the battlefield, and everything will go live, which we'll touch on later in the show. But I just wanted to make a mention and an announcement of that. So yeah, tomorrow's the day.
All right, fantastic. So the launch is what, 3 p.m. GMT?
Uh, is that the same as UTC? I'm so screwed up
Yeah,
with the
or
time.
UTC. We can stick to UTC because
Dude, I feel like I'm operating in like 5 different time zones right now. Like all the
yeah, yeah,
homies
yeah.
are spread out everywhere, literally.
I'm telling you, yeah. I mean, I just stick to UTC, and that's good because then
Yeah, exactly.
everybody can just swap it to their own.
Figure it out.
Figure it out your own. All right. So as you guys know me, I'm gonna share my screen, and then we're gonna start straight away because we don't wanna lose time because we have the Twitter Spaces later on as well.
Yes, yeah, that's today's a big day. There's a lot going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think even just right now, live as we are talking, I think the reveal for Hydra white paper is currently running on another. I think it's currently running.
Ooh, that's
Yes.
fun. All right. Well,
Uh,
I guess I got some homework to do today.
I guess so. I guess so. All right, guys. So, I mean, here you have the QR code. So, please, if you have any other questions, Rudy will be in the Telegrams or and Twitter. So, be loud. These are the QR codes. Please join them. I'm always starting with shilling the links before we even get started. You know, like when you're in the
All about
show,
it.
whenever you're in the show, it's like always like, oh, can you now share this? Like, where should people follow you? I like to start with that.
I like
Just
that too. I think it's a good idea to have the QR codes. Just if you don't know what to do, just pull out that old phone and
exactly. You can join Telegram straight away. So that's good. All right. So the general agenda, we're gonna do a little recap. So I mean, Titan Legends, there was the NFT collection back then. So we're gonna do a quick recap about that. Probably for some of you are also fairly new to NFT. We're gonna go a little bit what NFTs are and so forth. And then on the second part, we're going to talk about the NFT token escrow swap contract because that's the most important thing actually to understand, to
Mhm.
get to know what these NFT token like how they work essentially. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the token distribution and the liquidity pool creation. So Rudy, and by the way, don't forget to spank that like button. And as you know, the sponsor is touchnixup.com and touchnixup.com/premium. I'm sponsoring myself. So there you go.
Somebody's got to do it.
Telling you, man, the sponsors have to be there.
Yeah,
So
I just want to commend you too, real quick, before we move forward. I mean, Mike, you've done such an amazing job with TitanX Hub. It's come so far over the last year, and there's just so much value there for the TitanX community. I'm just really impressed. I mean, like everything, like the free portfolio tool is amazing. I'm not sure if you guys know about that yet, or if you've been using it, but it really keeps everything like very much together. You can keep track of all your stuff, and I thought that was a really great addition. So thank you for that.
I appreciate that, man. No worries at all. I think the portfolio page is really, really useful. Obviously, I'm very biased, but I think it's a very useful tool, especially if you have more than one wallet and there's no wallet connect or anything. Very privacy friendly.
Yep,
So I did. It took me quite some time to get it all working, but
I can imagine. Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, it's very the UI is super smooth and easy. So good job with that, bro.
all right. Well, enough of Tajaniza.com. We're gonna be jumping to the yeah. So I mean, probably for the new people who are fairly new to the whole NFT game, I know you guys know me. I'm probably a bit more on the technical side of things. That's why I like to explain this kind of stuff. So probably let's get started. the last time we did the interview as well, we did talk about NFTs, if you
Hmm.
remember correctly. And probably for the new people who don't know what NFTs are, I'm going to read out the Richard Hart definition of NFTs because I think that was it's fairly good and fairly funny in some ways. So Richard Hart back then said it's a serial numbers loosely related to JPEGs, which may or may not still be hosted on the internet. So, Rudy, can you explain that? What actually that means?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, like you can kind of look at like an NFT. It's a token, but it's basically the picture itself is pointed to a link that's stored on IPFS. So, um, it's not like an actual like picture on the blockchain per se. So that's I think what he's meaning there by the reference. But yeah, I mean, the NFT collections. I mean, there's been numerous um, different use cases for them, and the way that I see it, like, all right, traditionally, like an NFT collection, like would be minted out. There's a 10,000 piece collection. Think about like the Bored Ape Yacht Club or something like that. Um, Traditionally, you'd have like an NFT mint, and typically what would happen is like you'd use a marketplace like OpenSea, and you're relying on the next guy, right, to come and buy your NFT, right, and things get kind of bidded up that way. And what's really unique, like I don't consider us like a normal NFT project. Essentially, what this is like, yes, it is a collectible item, but at the same time, what I was able to do and put together for Titan Legends is this way of trading NFTs, which actually relates them to a token. So you have the NFT, which is collection, obviously, like almost like you can think about it like a trading card collection kind of, and you also have a token, right? And in between is the swap contract, which we'll get into in the detail more later. But essentially, what it does is it makes your NFT tradable for tokens and vice versa, which actually links the token price and the floor price or the liquid floor price of the NFT. So, however, the token price is influenced. Will actually influence the floor price because all of those NFTs have a redeemable value in the token. In this case, LegendX token. So definitely like a more efficient and cool way to do it. Yeah, and I'll cover a little bit more of that later when we get into the diagrams that you have prepared.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, probably just for the technical people out there, essentially, an NFT, it's like a receipt, essentially, that you own something, a very like a specific thing, right? And in this form, especially in the beginning, what happened was they just used to be pointed to an URL, and if that server gets the that is a location centralized essentially, and if that server dies, that your picture is essentially doesn't live anymore. Later on, it was a bit better. We introduced IPFS, so that is essentially way better. And if I remember correctly, you also have those pictures in IPFS.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yep. Absolutely.
I think that's more the standard nowadays for all the
Yeah, as
NFTs
it should be.
collection,
Yeah, for sure.
and it should be absolutely. I agree. All right. So enough about the technical side, what NFTs are. Let's jump to the NFT collections back then. This is what I had written back then. And if I remember correctly, there was 2,888 NFTs, 28 eggs, 2,000 fire breather tier and legendary tier, and one ghost dragon.
Yep. Yeah, that's essentially like how it started off. Now, in the minting phase, there was actually, and this all kind of ties into a story with the lore of what Titan Legends are. But in the story, 600 dragons went missing, so that supply actually got cut down to 2288. So yeah, that's where it stands right now. That is the final. There'll never be another one minted or anything like that. And those eggs actually ended up getting hatched and turning into these baby dragons that are actually really cool. So there are like I'd like to think about it like almost like an Easter egg hunt. And people didn't really know what to expect with the baby dragons and or I'm sorry, with the eggs that hatched into the baby dragons. So everything kind of like was intentionally like playing into like this story. So I wanted this to kind of play like like almost like a Dungeons and Dragons module. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
All right, all right. Essentially, those 28 eggs became baby dragons. Is that what they're called
Yeah,
now?
I think there's actually only 20 eggs. I actually have to check my numbers on that. But yeah,
Mm.
the 20 eggs had hatched into baby dragons.
Baby dragons. Okay.
And there's the one of one ghost dragon that's floating around out there. Somebody has it.
So somebody has this one as well.
Yep.
So essentially, there is one, two, three, four different tiers. Essentially, right?
Correct. Yep.
Right.
Nailed it.
Okay. Okay. So one ghost. Do you know how many fire breather they are? Or
Let me, you know what? I gotta pull up the spreadsheet because I
okay.
have so many numbers in my head right now. I don't want to like put anything
No worries.
inaccurate out there. Just give me one sec.
That's all right. I think it's just good to have all the numbers so that
Yeah, for
people are
sure.
cleared.
All right. So there are. You ready for this?
Yeah,
There's
like let's go with the fire breather first.
Yep. There's 1484.
1484,
Yep. And then legendary is 781.
781.
And there's one ghost dragon, which is correct. And then there's
Yep.
22 baby dragons.
22 baby DragonX. All right.
Those are the correct numbers.
All right. So there you go. These are the numbers.
That's how it ended up hashing out. Yep.
Okay. And in total there is 2288 NFTs. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
All right. Yeah. And here these are just some of the examples of one of the NFTs. Are these all legendaries here? If or
Just by looking at them, I would say yes.
okay.
Like there are certain tiers that only existed in legendary. The reason that I separated it too is like I almost wanted to look at it as like affordability tiers because they minted for different prices. So the initial ones were all the fire breathers. There was some eggs scattered throughout there. There was the ghost dragon, etc. And those are a little bit cheaper. They minted for like 28 million. TitanX, and then the legendary tier started up, and those minted for 88 million. So when you look at the actual artwork, you can kind of tell with certain traits, like the leopard skin, for instance. That's a legendary trait.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can kind of tell just looking at them. They look a little bit rarer.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. So I mean, we're gonna talk about later on also because there's like point system, and depending which collection you have, you're gonna have more tokens or less tokens representing for your NFT essentially.
Exactly.
All right. All right. Then I think just back then, just to do a quick recap as well, is could you walk through like how it went down back then when with the minting and the distribution here? So just
Yeah,
people
man. So
remember.
that's a great question. Yeah. Essentially what had happened is that we started minting the same day that DragonX went live, which was kind of more by coincidence than anything. So essentially people were able to mint using TitanX, which, you know, we were the first NFT collection to be on TitanX at that time. And so essentially if, you know, you just connect your wallet to our mint site, you'd mint the NFT, and those funds 36.9% actually got burnt, and the rest went to Genesis Wallet to, you know, essentially push the project forward. And yeah, and then you'd be able to receive your NFT that way. So I think there was like a 56 NFT max wallet at that time. So yeah, it was really exciting. Like I think we minted out in a couple weeks. It took a little bit of time. I mean, we were again one of the first projects, and people were trying to understand, like, you know, what is this project going to be about? And, you know, I really recommend for people to actually read the white paper. It's been out for months and months now. And when it clicks, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. I think it's just so important to like understand that like, this isn't a traditional, like regular old NFT project. This is something that's newer and actually has like the potential to like revitalize NFTs. And that's really, you know, why I love these hybrid models so much, is because it's not, you know, it's not 2021 when you're just relying on somebody else. Like there's a lot more dynamics and gameplay that goes on with this.
Fantastic. We got Ziba in the house, and he's saying
What's up, brother?
I was a day one minter and picked up around 45 dragons. I think 10 legends. That's
Yep, I met James through that project. Really, really great friendship, and he's a great dude. And excited to see what he's doing too with Baby Dragon X. Like that's been a wild ride.
yeah. It's amazing. I mean, with that kind of numbers, I think he's gonna be a whale in the Titan Legend system, I guess, right?
Hell yeah!
All right. So now we're gonna jump to more something more interesting here, and probably I'm just gonna do a little, just a quick recap how actually this works. Um, I mean, to just put it very simply, it's you either have an NFT and then you can turn that to the LegendX token, or you have the LegendX token and you can turn that to an NFT. Just like that's a quick overview. Is that
That
correct,
is
Rudy?
that is the quick overview. Yeah, essentially, yeah. So these basically the token and the NFT are interswappable through this escrow swap contract, right? And the terminology that we'll use is the battlefield, right? So this is again the story that kind of like ties everything together. But essentially, it's a two-button operation, very very simple to use. If you already have NFTs, you'll be able to connect your wallet to the battlefield. You'll be able to see your NFTs that you have, what they're worth. It's all very, very clear and calculated. And what's really neat about this system is that the actually interaction with this smart contract creates deflation in the token. So you can see here that when you go to claim the bounty for your NFT, in other words, you send your NFT to the battlefield and it releases to you the LegendX token, as you can see there. 3% of that transaction is burnt forever. So it's going to actually help to deflate the supply of the NFT as people are trading them back and forth for their tokens. And vice versa, right? So you're able to claim the bounty for your NFT. If you already own an NFT, you can essentially just get the tokens for it through that mechanism, and vice versa. So it almost like the way that the battlefield is set up, it's almost kind of like almost like a marketplace. There's filters, just like if you guys have been on our marketplace, like you can actually filter through and you can check rarities and etc. So from the other side of things, if you already have the LegendX token, you can essentially buy NFTs out of the battlefield for what I'd like to call the liquid floor price. And depending on which type of NFT that you have, like we covered the 4 different types of NFTs, depending on the type of NFT that you own, they're worth different values, right? Like the legendaries are worth more than the fire breathers, and the baby dragon and the ghost dragon are worth more than the rest of the collection. So they have more of a redeemable value. Or on the flip side, you would end up paying a little bit more for that liquid floor price. So I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but I'm really just trying to cover the details. When you go into the battlefield, you'll actually be able to go through and see which NFTs you would like to purchase out of the battlefield. So it adds another layer of game theory where essentially if somebody banks, if somebody puts a really rare NFT into the battlefield, another user has the potential to come in and actually scoop up that rare NFT at what we would call the liquid floor price, right? That's what the NFT is redeemable for and its link with the token. If that makes sense. So it's set up really, really easily. It's a 2-button operation. You can either claim the bounty or pay the ransom, and you'll be able to actually sort through and pick out the NFTs that you want to send and receive. Like it's so easy. I'm going to make a tutorial video
Mm-hmm.
when it comes time, just so that people can kind of get a visual on it. Because again, this is a newer concept, so it's been hard to try to just be like, oh yeah, you just swap your NFTs and back and forth, because there's so many different ways that can look
Yeah.
and or be perceived as. So I mean, again, the white paper really, really details out actually how this works, and I'll have some visual stuff so that people can actually understand and see it in real time before they practice it themselves.
Gotcha. So probably let's just walk through the whole process here, and
Sure.
including the burn essentially, because there's
Mhm.
also this early claim burn, but we're going to talk about that as well. But this is only for the first 25 days, this
Correct.
early claim burn. So
Yeah,
let's
that's really
just walk.
important to cover.
Yeah, that's very important to cover. But let's just walk through. Let's imagine I'm a user and I have an NFT. to make things simple, just as an example, this NFT is I get 100. It's equal to 100 LegendX token. Just to keep
For
it
simple,
simple.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if let's say I have my NFT is represented with 100 LegendX tokens, if I want to swap that NFT to become liquid, to get liquid tokens essentially, then 3% of that. So there's going to be tokens here in the escrow swap contract, which can give you those tokens essentially. 3% of that, so three tokens will be burned, and then 97 you're going to receive 97 tokens in your liquid tokens
Correct.
on your MetaMask, right? Is that
Y-
correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So but now there is this little early claim burn. Let's talk about that a bit later on, but let's
Sure.
go to the second part, which is also you have now the tokens. So let's say you've bought the tokens of the market and you want to buy an NFT. That is essentially, it's just going the other way around. So now
Hmm.
you can choose any NFT which is available, and essentially you can buy from any user, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. So, like, they're all, the battlefield at that point holds the NFT, and you're able to actually sort and filter which NFT that you'd like to purchase out of the battlefield.
fantastic.
Um, it's similar, very, very similar to the marketplace.
Mhm.
So I don't want it to get confused with the
Absolutely.
marketplace, but the reason that I did it like that versus just doing like a recast was to enhance the game theory, right? Like I said, if somebody goes and banks like a number 14 rarity, which is really rare, if they go to bank a number 14 rarity and somebody sees that, it almost triggers something that's like, oh wow, this is a really rare NFT. Maybe I should take my tokens and swap it into the NFT, right? Which it's really neat. Like there's a lot of supply dynamics that go on with this. Not only is the supply deflating as people
Mhm.
are interacting with this contract, but also every NFT that's held in a wallet represents tokens that are not on the market, right? So theoretically, if people held all of the NFTs, the circulating supply of the token would be very, very low, right? Um, Granted, they can get liquid at any time, but it kind of gives you like a metric of your diamond handed holders, if that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
I see. I see. I think this is very interesting. But nevertheless, when you send the LegendX token, you have to pay 3% premium essentially, right? And that is going to get burned.
Yeah, so the premium is set up so that there's always going to be enough tokens in the contract to represent the NFTs in circulation, right? So uh, basically you're paying instead of 100% less 3%, right? Which on the claim transaction, on the pay the ransom transaction, it's actually 103 tokens that
Yeah.
get paid back to the contract, and three of those get burnt so that the liquidity is there for the NFTs.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I think that's well understood. And then you just receive your NFT, and then you can go your way. So now I think this is fairly understood now. I think it's
Cool.
I don't know. I tried to do this drawing, and
Two
I
thumbs
think
up.
I think it makes sense if you just draw it that way. So now let's talk a bit about the early claim burn.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
absolutely. I think
just
that's
one second. I think I have it here as well. Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the early claim burn was set up in a way, right? So a really unique feature of these NFTs is actually the OTC trading mechanism, right? So because each one of these NFTs represents a liquid stake in the LegendX token, you don't actually have to swap your NFT for tokens and sell the tokens in the liquidity pool. You can actually just take and list that NFT on the marketplace and have somebody else come and buy it up at whatever price. And um like really, like in essence, you really never have to sell a LegendX token if you own an NFT or if you purchase an NFT with it. You could theoretically, I'm just saying, like, not financial advice, whatever, but you could theoretically buy the LegendX token with TitanX. You could purchase an NFT out of the battlefield. You can hold that NFT, and when you're ready to sell, you can actually sell that NFT on the marketplace without affecting the price of the LegendX token. So there's a really unique OTC trading mechanism with these hybrid NFTs, which this early claim burn is set up to, it's almost like training wheels for the protocol, right? Like we want to get this thing off the ground as sustainably as possible. So if people want to take and like dump their NFTs that they minted into the liquidity pool, well, for the first 25 days, there is an early claim burn that will not only help to actually deflate the token supply, but also teach people that, okay, well, you can actually sell your NFT via the marketplace instead, and that's an exemption to that early claim burn. And so on the website, there's going to be a checker so that, if there's a couple exemptions, right? So you got the early claim burn that applies for any NFTs held, but the exemptions are NFTs that were purchased out of the marketplace and also NFTs that are purchased out of the battlefield. So I really wanted to encourage use of the system and get in as many new users as possible, right, to interact with the NFT protocol, but also protect the integrity of like this initial launch phase and really teach people how to use the OTC trading mechanism, which is selling via the marketplace. So that, again, I kind of look at this as training wheels for the protocol. You're not like locked into like having to essentially burn your tokens voluntarily. I mean, you can if you want, if you're impatient, but you can also just list that NFT on the marketplace very simply, and somebody else will eventually come and scoop it at, depending on, where that token price is at, because there's always an arbitrage opportunity here, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
if the token price exceeds your listing price, well, you can almost count on the fact that somebody's going to see that and be like, okay, well, that's a cheap NFT. I can, actually be in the green here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always like a perpetual arbitrage opportunity happen between the token price and the NFT listing prices that are going on. So like I said, it starts at 50%, well, 53%, reduces 2% daily until it gets down to standard 3% standard burn.
Okay. So, I mean, essentially, this is to discourage people to actually turn the NFT straight to the token, right? So, because they can essentially just dump.
Exactly. And, like I said, again, I'll stress this and more, is that a major, major feature of these hybrid NFTs is the ability to sell on a secondary marketplace. So we created a whole marketplace just for this reason, that you can trade in TitanX,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you don't have to sell into the liquidity pool. You can just sell on the marketplace,
Okay.
set your price, almost like a limit order, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sell your NFT that way. So I'm really trying to teach people how to use the system versus just like letting this thing out in the wild, something that's been worked on for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's basically the gist of it. I mean, do you have any questions? Was that clear?
Yeah, I think, I mean,
Okay.
I think I understand it, but I just want to for the viewers to understand it. So the
Yeah.
marketplace, if I list my NFT in the marketplace, because there's also like you have a legend. What is the market? What's the name of the marketplace, by the way?
It's just called the Titan Legends Marketplace.
Yeah.
It's
So,
like all the whole DApp will be together. So like it'll just be like app.titanlegends.win,
gotcha.
and there'll be different pages. So you're gonna have like the marketplace, you're gonna have the battlefield, you'll
Mm-hmm.
have there's an NFT exemption checker to see if your NFT is exempted from that early claim burn.
Gotcha.
Again, NFTs that were purchased on the marketplace are exempt because I want people to participate with the
Mm-hmm.
marketplace as much as possible. And the other ones are NFTs that are purchased out of the battlefield. Again, this is just basically a way to put the training wheels on, and at day 25, the training wheels are off, and this thing just
Gotcha.
runs.
So probably the other question would be, what are the fees for listing, and what happens to those fees?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. So what we've been actually working on the last couple of weeks is we're going to not only be listing the Titan Legends collection, but we're going to be listing other NFT collections as well. So I like to look at the Titan Legends marketplace as being like the hub
Mm-hmm.
for any NFTs built on TitanX. There are other protocols that are going to be utilizing NFTs in some manner or another, and I'd like to be kind of like the main stop. So essentially, when you go to list your NFT, there's a 3% fee. in TitanX that gets actually used to buy and burn the LegendX token.
All right.
So there's
So
another
that's
burn.
the 100% buy and burn.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And right now, and I just want to be really, really clear. Right now, it's a manual buy and burn, and the reason that we did that is because there's like these MEV bot extraction issues going on, and
Mhm.
we're not really like at some point we can actually build a decentralized buy and burn, but for now, it seemed like a more efficient use of capital rather than it just getting botted is to actually do it in a manual manner.
Mhm.
But in the future, we can most certainly build out a decentralized buy and burn, especially once we, grow and have more liquidity, and that will become less of an issue. I know that people are working on those things, but that was a major issue in the early days of TitanX buy and burn, and I know he's got that pretty well wrapped up and understood, but it does still pop up, and it still is a thing.
Mhm. All right. Yeah, that's definitely interesting because I was actually thinking, I think maybe I misread it, but I wasn't sure you have a buy and burn. So LegendX has a buy and burn actually as well.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's
Yeah,
definitely
so
interesting.
essentially you got three means of burning, right? You got
Mhm.
almost kind of four, but let's just say three. On
Yeah.
every claim of the token, you got to burn. On every payment of the ransom, which is buying an NFT on the battlefield, you have a
Mhm.
burn, and then the marketplace has a buy and burn. So there's like kind of like three methods that are used to help deflate the supply of LegendX.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think this is a very good point. And essentially, your marketplace, when you also list DragonX NFTs, that 3% will also be buying burning the token as well.
Yes, yeah. And with other collections, we can come and customize. So like if somebody wants to maybe do something else with the fee, like we can customize how that gets done. So like we're doing a very manual listing process with
Mhm.
new projects coming on board. And that's so that we can obviously like we don't want to just like list everything. Like it's like what you guys are doing. Like you want to make sure that the projects that you're listing have the
Mhm.
right integrity behind them. And then number two is like every collection is a little bit different, so they're going to require some degree of customization. So yeah, we're going to be listing the DragonX hybrid NFTs, and there are some
But
other ones lined up.
are you gonna be selling them for ETH or TitanX?
TitanX.
Or TitanX, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the people will be able to actually buy and sell those DragonX NFTs in TitanX, which is again the reason that they made those was to create an over-the-counter system for whales to be able to
Yeah.
exit the system without
Yeah, but
earning
I
a
mean
charge.
that way if they use TitanX, they're gonna be exiting through the TitanX wealth pool. So it's gonna drive down the TitanX price.
Well, that is a good point, and like
Maybe use
this
ETH is
is
better.
well, you know what, you do have an excellent point, and in that case, there is OpenSea. I might be working on some things in the future that would require actually exiting via ETH
Mhm.
for other stuff, but for right now, I've just made this very much a part of the
Mhm.
ecosystem here.
Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, but I probably would be better to actually really exit in ETH because otherwise, y- yeah, otherwise we're gonna that sell pressure is gonna be on TitanX as well. Anyhow,
Yeah.
so let's talk now about the point system because we did talk a bit earlier. If I scroll up here, we had four different types of NFTs. And if we go down here, these are the different ones, right? The fire breather, legendary ghost, and the baby.
Yep, exactly. So
Hmm.
the how we came up with the point system was basically you take the whole pool, which is the pool that's for the NFTs, right? So there's 2.3 billion tokens that are allocated towards the NFTs roughly. And we broke it down and figured out a point system that works. So each point is worth approximately 59,954 tokens and figured out a multiplier that works for each of them. So you just to strip it down to the bare nuts and bones, each fire breather is worth 599,000. Each legendary is worth 1.6 million, etc., as you can see there.
Hmm. All right, yeah, and then you basically, so if for every legendary, that's the multiplier, and that's the how much tokens you're gonna receive then at the end.
Correct. Yes. And it's very simple. I mean, again, that's more on the back end math is like I
Mhm.
included in the white paper just so people understood how those points were allocated.
Mhm.
But yeah, just the only thing that really is actually pertinent to the user is what you're actually going to be receiving, less the 3% burn, obviously, that we just talked about.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just adding those numbers as well so that people
Oh,
can see
cool. Thank
how
you.
many there are. Um, all right. So now the point system, I think that is clear. Now we talked about the early claim burn, which is also clear. This is essentially like an extra penalty for
Yeah,
you know
I
what's up.
don't look at it as a penalty. I
Mm,
mean, yeah, technically it is, but like
yeah,
it's something that actually benefits everybody else too. So if you're like
yeah.
impatient, you want to, get the tokens for your NFT, that's totally fine.
Hmm.
But what I'm really trying to like route people to do is to start using like the marketplace to be able to
Gotcha.
sell their NFT user to user, and then they don't have to dump on the market.
Okay.
I,
So the thing is, let's say if I buy the NFT today of the marketplace, will I be exempt?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the previous marketplace transactions only and the future Battlefield transactions are all exempt. NFTs purchased through OpenSea or minted are not exempt. And
Okay.
again, the reason that I did this was to encourage as much
Fair
new
enough.
participation in the ecosystem. Like nobody would want to actually buy an NFT and then be down 50%, especially, in pertinence with the token price. So just wanted to, again, it's the training wheels, right?
Fair enough.
Like we're trying to show people like, okay, this is a really unique mechanism.
Mhm.
You can actually sell these NFTs without hurting the token price via the marketplace. And that's essentially what I'm trying to like, push people to do. Obviously not financial advice, etc. But that's how the system is designed to work.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think here he's priority one Titan is saying there is only one TitanX ETH pool. Okay, but I don't know what the point is here exactly. Every protocol exits on in TitanX. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying is if you are selling your DragonX NFT on OpenSea, you sell it against ETH, and then people have
Yes.
ETH. They don't have to. If you give me, if they were selling into TitanX and they want ETH, they still have to exit through TitanX again. So that's why that's the point I was trying to make early on. So I would suggest if you list DragonX NFTs, they should be bought with Ethereum because otherwise it's gonna hurt the price because those people are looking to exit because otherwise they could have just sold it down straight away. There's those tokens.
Mm-hmm. No, I
Why
totally understand. Yeah,
why would they go the NFT route?
I've been working on a little something in the background. So, like right now, the marketplace is designed to work in TitanX, but
No worries.
I have been working on a little something else that's another step in the realm of like hybrid NFTs that like people aren't really thinking about, but they're really great. Almost as like a token locker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that will be something a little bit more down the road for us, but nonetheless, still working on.
No worries. I mean, one thing I would just encourage you is like if you like intend to list DragonX NFTs, is to just use ETH, and then you can still take 3% of that as
Mm-hmm.
fees and buy
Yep.
and burn your own token, but you just buy it first TitanX, then
TitanX, right?
yeah.
Exactly.
So that would be a better system, I would say,
Yeah. Yep.
because the
I'm with you on
intention
that.
for you to have a DragonX NFT essentially is like you want to get out, but you want to get out not through the TitanX liquidity pool. You want to get out straight to Ethereum. That's the whole reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
which people are able to do via OpenSea right now. So I hope to streamline this process a little bit better for
Hmm.
people for sure. In a way, like say like right, like somebody could set a listing price in TitanX, right?
Hmm.
But that number could also convert over to ETH. So it would almost be like the TitanX price would be the static price, and the ETH price would adjust to wherever TitanX is at that time. If that makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
So that's kind of the idea that we're trying to move forward with here. And yeah, I love that suggestion. I think you're 100% right.
Yeah. So priority one is, again, I agree to sell to ETH, but if a big buyer wants to buy a DragonX NFT, he will have to buy first by TitanX. Sure. I mean, that's the one thing, but sure, that works. But the only thing is, like, what if a really big guy wants to get out? He will
Yeah.
kill the. He's like, you would, like, you want him to buy but not sell on the other side. So you might as well just go the ETH route, in my opinion.
Yeah, or even I think offering the option is fair as well. You know, if somebody
Absolutely.
wants to exit via ETH, like
Mm.
great, here you go. Here's the option. If somebody wants
Yeah.
to exit via TitanX, you know, if they
Yeah.
want to own more TitanX so they can get into other protocols, then great, there's that option as well. And that's kind of what
Yeah.
we're aiming to do there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think you can give them that option, but I, I
Yeah,
tend to believe when you give people options, people don't understand what they're doing most of the time. I'm
yeah,
seeing that on the
I know.
dexes all the time.
I
Yeah,
I 100% know what you mean, bro.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
crypto. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. Like, people just sell down like big clips and they don't care. So
Yeah,
anyhow,
no, it's so
yeah,
wild, and it's like it's one of those things like with TitanX too, particularly like selling like a full clip is crazy to me. And again,
mm,
not financial advice. Do what the hell you want,
mm,
but you know, it's, sometimes you see like even on the smaller protocols like these huge clips getting unloaded, and you're like, bro, like this stuff's not going anywhere.
mm,
Like this, I mean, it's going somewhere, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, these projects aren't, you know, to be treated as shit coins, essentially. Like these are
mm,
really like, I mean, the projects that are built on TitanX right now are like the tokenomics are beyond anything I've ever seen. And I mean, I've
mhm,
been in the space a while now, and I've definitely bounced around from projects to projects, and the tokenomics that people are coming up with for all these projects are absolutely insane. And hats off to all these guys. But you know, we have such a unique value proposition within TitanX. Like we have this hyper deflationary asset, and we have these other hyper deflationary assets being built on
mhm.
top of it. And it's just like these flywheels on flywheels, and like, you know, let these things take some time to start working, right? I mean, we're just at the beginning of something really, really special here. So that's my my spiel.
No worries. I'm seeing again priority one. He's still on his point here. I would sell a DragonX hybrid to TitanX to move to the Ouroboros stablecoin. I mean, fair enough, but I mean, you can also just use the ETH to buy it yourself and get back to the system. I mean, I'm just saying is like, I've seen things what people are doing when you give them the option going through TitanX. There's a big issue. I don't want to go too deep on this now, but I think we just move on to the oh yeah, yeah, so this is the liquidity pool creation here.
Yep.
So could you go how you're going to create this liquidity pool? I mean, especially the TitanX, where does that come from? And probably just go through the whole system how you're going to do this.
Yeah, sure. So essentially most of the tokens are allocated towards the bounty pool, which is the battlefield contract.
Hmm.
15% is for the initial LP. So that will be paired with TitanX. So we'll use an appropriate amount of TitanX to actually pair that those tokens together, create a V3 pool that way, and that pool will be locked on Unicrypt forever.
Hmm.
So that's the plan with that. There is 2%, which is for airdrops. So we're going to be doing 50 airdrops per week for the first 5 weeks. So 250 airdrops total. And that's essentially to encourage people to, you know, basically, I look at airdrops as a way to give back, number one, and number two, to get people involved that maybe weren't involved from the beginning, right?
Hmm.
You know, because it's really great marketing in my opinion. We did this at the beginning. It was one of the most effective things. People are sharing, oh, I got this free NFT. You know, this is really cool. Like, you know, check
Hmm.
out this project. And it's just a really great way to get the word of mouth out there, especially through X engagements, which we've been really trying to heavily focus on as a whole community. And I haven't seen, I don't know if I've seen any other projects do like airdrops. It's not like a huge allocation of the token, right? It's not like we're like, you know, giving out like 90% of the token and it's going to become a dumb thing. It was kind of more of like um, a way to get people, users engaged in the protocol. So That was the intention behind that. So those first airdrops will be going out week 1, and then we'll do one round each week, so 50 airdrops per week. And then there's a 3% team allocation.
So I mean, I think one of the DMs I was getting is like because initially in the beginning, the bounty pool, if you take out the bounty pool and these 3%, if you calculate it, the team is going to have whatever, I think 15% or something like that of the liquidity supply.
What's that?
So
Um,
initially in the bounty pool, right?
mhm.
These are tokens that essentially you can view them as locked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those
Yeah.
aren't going to be touched. Yeah, other than if people are interacting with the
Yeah.
battlefield. Yep.
I think one of the things was just asked is like, so if you count out as these is locked, right? The bounty pool is locked. These 3% of the team will essentially be 15% because th- th- those tokens are not. I mean, this is something who was some people who were like asking the questions like, is that too much allocation for you guys? I don't know. Like,
I
could
mean,
you
if
be going into that?
honestly, like I am perfectly happy to lock those tokens. If but like I have no intention of like trying to just dump those. I mean, if you know me, I put a year worth of work into this.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I will plan on locking those tokens as well. So yeah, there shouldn't be any worry there.
All right, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is just something somebody was writing, so I was like, well, I'll at
Yeah,
least
no, I
add some
appreciate you
to that.
bringing it up, man. Like I hadn't heard that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I totally understand. I'll lock those tokens. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Okay, no, that's not a problem. So, regarding the airdrop, how are you going to conduct? To whom you're going to send the airdrop to?
So for people engaging on X, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, basically we're gonna be doing various like share repost, make sure you have your green circle, and we'll be able to actually run like a random Twitter giveaway picker, and they will be able to pick out the winners of the actual round. So it'll be 50 per week. So I do expect a lot of people to be engaging with this. And there are potentials that people win more than one airdrop as well.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. So probably now the only questions I have, let me just go back here as well, which is okay, the initial P and how big is the TitanX going to be? And I don't know. I think did you mention that already? I'm not sure.
So yeah, it's gonna launch around 100K
Hmm.
market cap.
Hmm.
It's gonna be approximately 25 billion TitanX to start the liquidity pool. So it'll
Hmm.
put it right around, depending on the price of TitanX at the time of launch. It'll put us right around 100K, maybe a little bit more, depending on again the price of TitanX.
Okay, great, great, great. I think I wanna talk a bit more regarding the buy and burn because I think this is something which I actually missed. It seems from the white paper. Is that in the white paper, by the way? I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yes, it is actually. It's actually in there a couple times.
Okay, okay. Well, then I guess I really missed that one because I think I'm just gonna put it here so that we can have a look at it as well. The LegendX buy and burn.
Oh,
Um,
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I just drew it here while you are talking. So,
Sweet, bro. Thank you.
yeah. So, from my understanding, is this is not user per se. So this is still manual, which is the team basically, right? Who's gonna trigger the buy and burn?
Correct. And again, that's just to avoid the MEV bot issue.
Hmm.
And there's not like a ton, like we're not handling like millions of dollars worth of buy and burn or anything like that.
Hmm.
And at some point, if it necessitates it, we can certainly create a decentralized buy and burn. But for right now, it's going to be a manual buy and burn of the LegendX token.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So this is, I think this is pretty good, to be honest, because I think this is something which I was not aware, and I somewhat missed it. It seems.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, there's three burns going on here. As people are
Hmm.
interacting with the protocol, there's 3% burn each way,
Hmm.
as well as the marketplace fees that are in TitanX that use to get buy and burn. So what's really interesting is that once we get to a certain threshold, there will maybe be at some point that there's not enough tokens, not enough LegendX tokens to get all of the NFTs out of the battlefield. So the NFT collection actually becomes deflationary over time as well.
Gotcha. Okay, because there's just not gonna be, so they're gonna be stuck there essentially, right? Which is like effectively as if they were burned.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because there won't be enough. Like the proper denomination is that there won't be enough. Once we get to, I'm sorry, once we get to less like 20% burned,
Hmm.
21% burned, there will literally not be enough tokens to get all of the NFTs out of the battlefield. So again, it's how it's by design, but essentially the NFT collection becomes deflationary as well.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Well, that's sounds definitely very interesting. From hopefully to the viewers out there, I think you understood this a little bit better, and especially we didn't go much deeper into the marketplace, but I think this is if you are into NFT, you know, OpenSea. So this is essentially an OpenSea marketplace for NFTs, but more for NFTs within the TitanX ecosystem, if I understood it correctly.
Yep, exactly, man. Yeah, this is I mean, this is something different, right? So I think the icing on the cake, right, is the fact that we're paired to TitanX.
Mm-hmm.
That's an extreme value proposition in and of itself, and that we're doing this hybrid model, and we're trying to show that there is a different way to do NFTs. And I'd like to see this kind of become the new standard for NFT projects, and I think that there's potential that it will, because you can actually apply this logic to any NFT collection. If there was an old NFT collection from
Yep.
2021 or whatever, and like the devs are still working on the project and they want to do something cool, like you can actually, like they could actually literally launch a token alongside of their NFT collection and make it interswappable.
Yep.
Um, which is a really great way to actually revitalize your project, because people love a token and
Mm-hmm.
people love the NFT collections. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think the only issue I'm seeing, I like technically, I find this really fascinating. I mean,
Yeah, me
that's
too.
one for sure. But the only issue I'm seeing is like a lot of people. First of all, like uh, NFTs, they don't know what NFTs are, and then now you're bringing the swap contract, which is like I don't know. It seems rather there's a lot more education needed, it seems, for people to understand it and to make it
Yeah,
way more simple. But actually once you understand it, it's very simple and very effective actually.
yeah. Well, like with this model particularly, there's so many supply dynamics
Hmm.
that people aren't necessarily thinking about. They're like, oh, I can swap my NFTs for my tokens.
Hmm.
That's cool, but like, how do they relate? And again, you're essentially linking their values together.
Yeah.
So if the token price goes up, so does the floor price of the NFT.
Yeah, I mean, like it's pretty amazing. I like the whole technical things. I just said it, but so one thing here, somebody saying, can you update the marketplace to show millions, billions, and trillions so it's easier to read?
Yes, that update will get pushed on tomorrow.
All right, fair enough. Um, so another question is, so best way is to buy tokens at launch? Question mark.
It's honestly a great question. I'm not here to speculate on price or give any financial advice, etc. But probably, maybe we'll say that. I like personally, if I was getting involved, I would probably try to buy tokens on launch and then get NFTs out of the battlefield. That's
Hmm.
just what I would do personally. But again, I'm not like, again, I made this thing like not financial advice. Like, take it with a grain of salt. Like, you guys can do what you want. But that would be probably the way that I would play it personally.
Fair enough. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. I think this is yeah, pretty awesome. I think it's a good project. I like the I think I like the way you've made it in such a way that people just don't swap immediately, and then they can just
Yeah.
start dumping, because that's
Yeah.
one of the issues I've seen as for some of the other launches which happened was exactly that, right? Especially at the
Yeah.
beginning where you actually want a little bit this natural thing happening. I mean, especially also a good thing as well is like you have the marketplace, so it's something which people can utilize.
Hmm.
and that 3% is definitely can start burning LegendX tokens. So that's
Yeah,
gonna be awesome.
everything feeds the system, right?
Yeah,
Everything
yeah,
kind of has a purpose, and
mm,
it goes back into feeding everything else to make it work. So
yeah,
every interaction that you're making within this protocol has a positive effect in a lot of ways. Um, and I hope to illustrate that and show it over time, because
yeah,
people might be watching the stream or whatever and getting kind of caught up in, like, maybe like trying to understand it. But again, what I recommend is really just reading the white paper,
yeah,
go through it, spend, I don't know, half an hour. I'm not sure how long it takes to read it. There's a whole page about like the game theory and the arbitrage opportunities between the marketplace and the token price, which I really recommend reading. And understand that the early claim burn is set up in a way to preserve the token and act as training wheels to get the project off the ground.
yeah. That's awesome. So we have another question here. I think we covered this earlier. Will other NFT projects be able to enter the battlefield in marketplace like DragonX X hybrids?
Yes, yeah, that's going to be all via manual,
Mhm.
a manual. What's the word I'm trying to use? A manual process, right? We're going to be listing those projects manually,
Yeah.
because we're exclusive to TitanX. So,
Mhm.
yes, that is going to be a
But
thing.
only the marketplace though, because the battlefield, that one you can control
No,
because DragonX control
yeah,
essentially the
yeah, no,
battlefield.
exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
other tokens could create their own battlefields and kind of
Yes.
do this in a backwards logic.
Mhm.
Like DragonX hybrids kind of have that, but there's NFTs get burnt when they get redeemed.
Yeah.
But you could technically do this in reverse. Say if you had a token first and you want to do an NFT,
Mhm.
you could actually have the token. I'm sorry, have the NFT get minted with the token, and
Yeah.
those tokens essentially get locked up in a vault like the battlefield, and then they become redeemable, vice versa, at any time.
Mhm.
So there are other ways to do this hybrid model.
Gotcha. So another question here we have: will the marketplace launch first or launch? Okay, I think that was too much launch first, or at the same time. Would be nice to maybe have a launch and then a few hours later the battlefield.
Yeah, so the marketplace is already live.
Gotcha.
So
Hmm.
yeah, you can go to app.titanlegends.win. That's been live for the last couple months,
Gotcha.
and the battlefield will go live at the same time as the token.
Hmm.
Um, the reason that I'm doing that is like I really wanted to deliver the full system all at the same time. Like it's like you kind of getting your salad, your steak, your potatoes, everything. Just like here's the whole thing, and that's what we intended to do from the beginning.
Fantastic. All right, I think that we have the question. X Factor is saying, "Cool."
Cool.
I agree. Absolutely. All right, Rudy, we are like almost 57 minutes, so I think this is a great time to just finish it. I think we talked most of the points. And then again, guys, don't forget to visit Titan Legends. Here are all the QR codes and links. So if you're on the phone, just scan them now. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, just join the Telegram and you see Rudy there and he'll answer you all the questions. Rudy, brother, thank you very much for being around. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Hey, thank you so much. And just guys, just be really careful. Nobody will post the contract address tomorrow other than myself. It will go live first in the Telegram,
Mhm.
in Telegram, because it's more of an instant form of messaging. And then we'll update the X profile as well as the website within minutes, as quickly as we can. There's a lot of moving parts on launch, and we're a really, really small team, so just bear with us, and we'll get out everything in a timely fashion, as timely as possible.
Fantastic. Yeah, guys, please don't get scammed. I don't want to be tweeting that I recovered another mine or something from you guys. So I don't know if you guys have seen, but yeah. Yeah, so then again, guys, on your way out, don't forget to spank that like button, subscribe with the bell button, and shout out to our sponsors, titanxsub.com and titanxsub.com/premium. All right, guys, thank you for being here, and I'll talk to
Awesome,
you
guys.
next time.
All right, have a great day.
You too, man. Bye bye.
Take it easy, brother.